Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. We are in the great state of Montana, and Montana is known for their ghost towns. Towns would spring up and go bust within a couple of years during all of the mining era. So we want to take you around and show you some of these amazing ghost towns in Montana.
Come along.
We're going to start today at the Granite Ghost Town State Park. This is just outside of Phillipsburg, and you go through Phillipsburg and find Granite Road and it takes you right up there. And you'll see a lot of those on your way up the road. This was the original aerial tramway, and when this was built to haul the ore down the side of the mountain, it was the longest tramway in the United States.
These are such interesting structures to go down and look at.
And it's interesting when you look at the big wooden beams. Some of them you can tell have started to rot, but that's from over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is still just as solid looking as ever. There you can see some rot in some of those beams, but it's still standing.
That was a different one there.
Mm-hmm. As you went up the side of the mountain, going up to the ghost town, you would see them off in the distance. You would also see the remains of some of the buildings. This was considered a bimetal mine. There was some gold mining, but it was predominantly silver. And the story of this town is it grew to one of the biggest lodes out in the area. There's the old mine up on the hill. But it was such a boom, and then when the U.S. government changed the laws on how the government no longer was going to purchase silver to guarantee the price of it, the town closed down in a day.
That killed a lot of these towns.
Absolutely. I think this mine was actually only active 4 or 5 years. And there were several thousand people living up there. Now what you see is the visitor center there. That little board with nothing left on it. There were no maps left in it. So it was just a matter of kind of walking through the area. The roads were kind of muddy and rutty, so you park in one spot and walk, and there was actually 2 hours worth of trails, and we got in a sleet storm.
We sure did.
So we didn't get into a lot of those.
Another thing is when they say that they're state parks, you have to remember they're preserving the roads the way they were back in the day.
That's right.
So that's what you get is right there, those roads.
Now that building there was the Mining Union Hall. The story goes that when they shut down the mine, that somebody put a weight on the string of the whistle that would be the whistle for when the shift started and stopped. And as everybody was walking down the side of the mountain, they heard the whistle blowing the whole time in the distance. This was the home of the last resident, and I believe she was there until 1969. Nature's definitely overtaken it since.
And she had been there a long time by herself.
She was actually running the water conservation district for the area. That gives you an idea of what you're looking at with the roads. If you've got a high ground clearance 4-wheel drive, you could probably get through some of those, but anything else, don't plan on it. Plan on walking and hiking. And I would suggest have your bear spray with you.
Yeah, good idea.
Now this was the superintendent's house, and it looks like it's had some restoration done on it. It's a beautiful building. Now next up, we're going to go to Bannack State Park. Completely different type of a ghost town. This lets you see what the area around the park looks like.
It was beautiful.
And that stream was the site of a gold strike, just a mile or two upstream.
It ran the entire length of the town.
And this is like I said, a whole different type of ghost town. Everything is along the street. The state has stepped in and preserved these buildings. They're all open that you can go in. You can tell that they've left them as nearly as they found them as possible, but they made sure that they're shored up and safe. And they've also kind of done some recreations inside the buildings. Love the wooden sidewalks.
You really do feel like you've stepped back in time.
Absolutely. A lot of these homes look like they were small homes because they're narrow in the front, but they've added on and they keep going on back and back and back. This was the hotel.
That was quite a building.
And both floors of the hotel are open.
And I believe it had originally been the courthouse.
I believe that's right, yeah. This was the big staircase going to the upstairs. This is the hallway on the lower level that ran past a few rooms. And I love that range.
I did too.
You can tell they were cooking for a lot of guests.
Yep.
These are the hallways in the upstairs. And when I turned and looked down there, I expected to see something going across the end of the hallway like Tower of Terror does. And those white marks in the front, those are bullet holes. That goes back to the days of it being the courthouse. This was a very lawless town.
And right next door
was the saloon.
The saloon.
The bar there on the saloon
it was
is amazing.
Beautiful. Yes.
And I don't know if this was just put in here or if there really was a reason that there was a barber chair inside the saloon. And if you look back behind that, you'll see a gallows. And that's where they hung the sheriff. You've got an area there with some mining equipment that you can look through. And again, all these are open. You can walk through and see what life was like.
And most of them were unfurnished, which, I don't know, there's just something more ethereal about them than the ones that are all set up with tons of furniture and stuff. This was my favorite.
That was really
so
neat.
Beautiful.
That was the little chapel. It's kind of neat to see them just in this state, where they're being preserved like this. They're not being allowed to deteriorate further. That little cabin sitting out there. And these were, in a lot of cases, homes to sizable families.
Oh, yeah. But you could tell which ones were the people who had money and which ones were the worker bees.
Yes. We came down the left side of the street. We're now turning and coming back up as you enter what would have been the right side of the street. And there was definitely a difference from one side of the street to the
Absolutely, absolutely.
And here again, you can just see how far back these homes went. They kept adding on, but they kept adding them on longer. This one was unique because it was either painted or whitewashed. It was the only one there that was white on the outside as well as the inside.
And a lot of them out back had a lot of outbuildings that, on this side too, that were very interesting.
There was a stable behind one of them. Now these buildings here, there was a couple of them that were stores, but in between them back there, that is their jail. And this was the main part of the jail, and there was 2 cells over here on the right.
And that one there was dark in there.
Looked like they had holes drilled in there to leave a little bit of light in, but that was it.
Yeah.
There's the tray where they passed the food in. And this one in the front at least did have a barred window, but they were very, very small.
Oh, look, there's Maggie.
Yeah.
Or at least her stroller.
But you can see the size of the rooms are a little bit bigger over here. Now this one, that building right there, that was a Masonic hall in the upper level and a school in the lower. And they still had some of the old playground equipment out front. This was the schoolroom in the lower level. This was a doctor's home, and you could tell it was a little bit more upscale inside.
Yeah, they had this one furnished.
Yeah, that was quite a property. Loved the big fireplace in this one.
Was beautiful, yeah.
This one had something very special.
Oh, yeah.
This wall right here that Cathy's pushing out of the way led to a little secret room. Now, where these buildings set originally was the, I guess you'd call it the Capitol building of the territory before it was a state. Now, the next spot we went to was Virginia City, and to get to Virginia City, you go through Nevada City, right outside it. And both of these are old, abandoned mining towns that have kind of sprung back to life. That train depot, you can take train rides from there, not on that caboose, but on another train.
They're pretty cool.
They really are. These are more designed to show you what the town was like in the day, even though they are authentically old buildings.
Highly visited.
Very much. Yeah, these little towns are very busy.
Virginia City was really unique from any of the other old towns we've been in.
This building called the Torch is an event center now, and they were just getting set up for a wedding that was taking place that day. We saw the wedding party around town every now and then, going to different places for, I guess, the reception. But yes, you name it, and there's active businesses in these buildings now.
But not every single one.
No, they've done a nice job kind of mixing the touristy type businesses. Stonewall Hall, this was also at one point a capital of the territory, and it's now being rebuilt. But some of the ones that are not storefronts are set up like what the storefronts used to look like.
And this is what made it unique, is that you could go in, you could stand in front and look all the way around. It was still set up the way it had been back in the day. It was very, very cool.
It was a nice mix. The older coaches and equipment in there.
Toy store. Everything's set up just the way it would have been.
All that glassware. And the most modern timekeeping. Clothing and garments.
Yeah, when you come to the front of the door, there's just an area to stand and you can view it, but you don't go in and rummage around. Preserves it better.
That's right. So this town kind of gives you a good mix of both.
Yeah.
This was actually a recreation of their original switchboard and what the telephone office looked like.
Wouldn't be complete without a carriage.
That's right. There are mailboxes just inside the door here. I love those buildings with the upper balconies like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be a western town without a saloon. Another great little clothing shop, and lets you see what they were wearing back in the day. The general store. Lets you go back and experience a different day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kathy, what did you think about the 3 ghost towns that we made it to?
I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and you've seen them from abandoned to renovated to actually being used, kind of the 3 different stages. We did also go to one other one, Granite Ghost Town, but it is back either one of 2 routes, and both of them were washed out. We couldn't get the car through. We turned around and went back and tried the other route. Couldn't get through that way either. So with that, if you've enjoyed it today, leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, watch for the button at the end of the video. Ring the notification bell and you'll know when every one of our videos come out.
And thank you for following us as we follow the boat.